Hello, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. This is your girl, Najwa. If you have not already, please go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video, and let's get right into it. So guys, today I want to talk about, how do I want to describe this? I'm still even thinking of a way to name this video. But basically today I want to talk about how I went down the rabbit hole of some of the most far extremist right incel, femcel, pro-men movement, pro-Trump movement, pro-Brexit, just sort of manosphere to sort of figure out what the heck is going on. And the fact that there are so many red pill women now, and I feel like that's something that is fairly new, I think, to the internet, because when I went on YouTube to look up, red pill women, which I find them to be extremely toxic, and they're contributing to a growing problem of polarization and divisive politics, I really just went down basically the rabbit hole to kind of understand what is going through the heads of the people who vote for Donald Trump. What is going through the heads of the people who are just these really trolling, polarizing people online, and how they just seem to be hateful, they seem to be vindictive, they seem to feel like they have some sort of moral or intellectual superiority. I have to admit, when I posted the video about Donald Trump, David Pakman, Donald Trump Jr. coming after David Pakman, and seeing sort of the polarizing attention that video got, and the video that I posted about Jordan Peterson, and someone who told me I didn't have enough gray matter to understand Jordan Peterson. I really just, the more I delve into these radicalized communities, the super MAGA cultists, the Proud Boys, the incels, the femcels, the red pill community, the pick-me girls, the more I feel like these people have been swayed in an entirely morally questionable and sort of ethically irresponsible route that is really, really harming society on a level that many of them can't see or won't see. And so today I just want to kind of discuss going down the manosphere rabbit hole and getting a better understanding of these people. So the first thing I want to start with is Frank Yeomans. Now, what was it? I'm looking at my notes over here. So Frank Yeoman did a video, and let me just go back I'm taking a look at my tablet. I'm looking at my tablet, I'm looking at my computer, I'm looking at my phone. I've got like 15,000 things open. I really think it comes down to some people just really need to get off of the internet. I feel like the internet is like a drug, it's like cigarettes or alcohol or marijuana or anything that you want to put on food, any other thing in the world that is enjoyable but that people can take and they can be irresponsible with it. Some people just need to get off the internet, and because they aren't responsible with it. But there was a video from Borderliner Notes. I'm going to link this in the description. I hadn't heard of this channel before, but I really, really loved what I saw. And the video is entitled, "Why People Follow a Trump or Hitler, Malignant Narcissism and Simplicity." I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Frank Yeomans is a psychiatrist, and he speaks on this issue of why cultists have been so attracted to Donald Trump, or people like Hitler. And I think even in the videos where I support Amber Heard, I support Meghan Markle, I support Will Smith and that whole Chris Rock debacle, where I don't understand Jordan Peterson, David Pakman, any of these videos where they're very, very polarizing subjects, and I see all of these people hopping in to defend people who, for all intents and purposes, or for lack of a better words, are xenophobes, racists, sexists. It really, really points to how people have sort of adopted this cult mentality on the internet and in their everyday lives as well. The stemming up of Karens and Kens, we can see that that's happening. It is creating a world full of hatred. And a lot of times they will project on you and say, oh no, you're being hatred and you've been swayed by the leftist media or whatever that is. So basically, Frankie Yeoman sums up that people like simplicity. And I was like, oh, yes, that's exactly what I've been thinking for a very long time, but I just haven't really known how to verbalize it or manifest it into tangible terms. But that's essentially what it is. People like simplicity. We live complex lives. We live in a complex world. And the landscape of culturalism is changing. The landscape of power is changing. Power that has been in the hands of one race, one gender, one class of people is now becoming more equal, more dispersed among people of different backgrounds, varying backgrounds in the free world. And that is making many people uncomfortable. Now, it's made many people on the top levels of power uncomfortable. And so what these people in power, people like Rupert Murdoch, you know, these media oligarchies, these super rich, influential, conservative, far-right, almost to an extremist mentality, have seen that the more knowledge that people have, the more their power can be taken away. And so basically propaganda, especially in the US, especially in the UK, has been used and played off of the people's fears. You know, and what's so sad is that these people, many of these people are poor people. And many of these people are middle class people. And the people who are using them as pawns from propaganda are profiting off of their hate, are profiting off of their fear. Figures like Donald Trump are profiting off of driving people into this cult. And it is all driven by narcissism. Frank describes this wonderfully well. And people who don't really have a sound sense of self in the changing tides of all this, they're seeking out simplicity. And when someone says, oh, you know, let's get the Mexicans out of this country, you know, that's something that's really simple. You don't have to back it up with a lot of data. You don't have to back it up with a lot of emotional intelligence. You don't have to back it up with a lot of tolerance. It's just like simple for some people, and they want simplicity in their life. But what they don't understand is that life is complex and nuanced, and you can't just chalk it down to black and white. So I highly recommend for you to check out that video. I'm going to put it in the description. And then I also wanted to look up some terms. Now, the terms that I sort of discovered while going down the Manosphere were red pill. I'm sure many of you have heard of that. Anti-woke. And anti-woke, I mean, I'm not discovering that really. That has been the far right, especially in the US, but also in the UK, have been weaponizing the word woke for some time now. And you can clearly tell that many people like Ron DeSantis, you know, like the people who target this anti-woke culture don't really understand the origins of the word woke and don't really understand how they're really kind of just putting their foot in their mouth. So I've known about anti-woke for a while, but still, we're going to look into that. Antifa, the anti-fascist movement, which that was probably the most interesting thing that I looked at. They can get violent, you know, and it is not necessarily like, you know, the United Nations or the World Health Organization. It's not an organization, and it's not really an organized movement at all, but it is a movement nonetheless. And someone, I can't remember what video I watched, but he described Antifa really well. It's like, you know, the way that the feminism movement is not necessarily one organized thing. There can be a lot of different feminists with different ideas, and we know that. QAnon. I think that's the way that you pronounce it. QAnon. I hear this all the time, and Donald Trump has sort of frenzied his followers into driving these conspiracy theories, and it is not making America better. It's not making the free world better. And it's not settling anyone's fears, not from a diplomacy level, not from a political level, not from a policy level, excuse me. It just is really driving up deeply set fears in people. And then the last thing is the deep state. So, for you people out there who are probably like me, who just, you don't live your life wrapped up in these conspiracy theories, you just live your life. I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through these with you. And then I'm going to give my 2 cents on why I think they're problematic. So, we headed on over to Urban Dictionary. So, let's type in red pill in Urban Dictionary. So, red pill. Urban Dictionary says, a quote from The Matrix, this is where this is pulled from. "This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes." Quote unquote, red pill has become a popular phrase among cyberculture and signifies a free thinking attitude and a waking up. It's so hilarious how these far right figures have adopted the red pill, waking up. But woke has been weaponized. Woke, the term that comes from when black people were still being lynched. And people were spreading, the awareness to stay woke so that you don't get yourself killed by racist white supremacists. And a waking up from a quote-unquote normal life of sloth and ignorance. Red pills prefer the truth, no matter how gritty and painful it may be. Now, with that first thing, you have to question, what is truth? Because truth for me might be really different for another person. Truth for someone might just kind of be confirmation bias. It might just be what they want to hear. Whereas truth for another person could be empirical data. Whereas truth for another person could be existing in a humanitarian sense and living amongst tenets of compassion, of humanity, of peace, of connection, of tolerance, of multiculturalism. How is truth defined? Because I'm sorry, but a lot of the red pill content which I come across doesn't necessarily seem to be quoting truth as it is in black and white, or truth as it is for people's personal truths across a well-balanced sort of conversation. It more just kind of represents to me a very confirmation bias type thing for conservatives who are anti, and then just insert the word. Anti-black, anti-woman, anti-feminism, anti-environmentalism, what else do the conservatives really hate? Anti-transgender. That just really is what it seems like to me, confirmation bias. So yeah, the red pill speaks more about it. And then the red pill community, essentially, this one right here, it talks about beta male. So what does this say? It says, increasingly modern women, especially Western women, indulge in one-night stands and short-term relationship in their 20s with alpha males, followed by seeking out a beta male provider in their late 20s and early 30s. So again, exactly to Frank Yeoman's point, people are searching for simplicity. People really, really just want you to spill it out in a way, I don't think really that is truthful, but just in a way where they feel like they can go to sleep at night and not worry about the world. But I'll tell you what, you should be going to sleep at night worrying about the world, because this right here, this ignorance is silliness, and I often say that, this individualistic, sort of aggressive, MAGA type cult, far right mentality, it really, really kind of tries to black and white everything. It tries to put a formula to human emotion. And that's not how human emotion works. You know, I see all this stuff about beta male and alpha male, about labeling women, which women are easier, which women you can sculpt into being a perfect housewife, which women you can manipulate more. Sort of diminishing the struggles of black and brown people, of LGBTQ plus people. Like, it really tries to put some sort of weird logic to it. And why can't your logic just be that human beings seek out love and belonging and community and some sense of well-being, and chalk it down to that? And why can't you just walk into your life and try to be the best human being that you can be, to advocate for causes that uplift humanity instead of just causing fear? These conspiracy theories, I just see them causing fear. So the next one, anti-woke. I thought this was interesting. And I had pulled up all of these beforehand on Urban Dictionary on my computer, but I forgot to pull them up on my laptop, so that's why I'm kind of doing it one at a time. But I had read this one before, and I thought this was interesting. So again, all from Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary says anti-woke. Oh my God, I love Urban Dictionary. Please forgive me for this. This is Urban Dictionary talking, not me. It says socially retarded, willfully ignorant to other people's situations. Zero given to how your behavior affects others. Politically regressive, leaning away from egalitarian policies in society. Woo, that says everything right there. Authoritarianism and fascism seems to be the most prevalent element amongst the far right, especially in the US and the UK. It seems like they want to move further and further away from egalitarianism. So it gives a example with the word in context here. It says the anti-woke movement wants to put minorities in their place and have the freedom to spout racist, sexist, and other hurtful crap at all times. I love Urban Dictionary. I might not always agree with the way that it approaches sensitive topics and the way that it speaks on them, but it is telling the truth. This is just the truth here. The anti-woke really put themselves across as people who are incredibly insensitive and who want to just hop on back to the days of slavery. I don't see anything else, and I hope that people are waking up to this. I hope that, at some point I thought Ron DeSantis would be a better choice than Donald Trump. I thought, hey, if a Republican ends up in the White House in 2024, and he at least is a politician, he at least has an academic background in foreign policy, in diplomacy, in U.S. policy and Constitution. I mean, that seems like at least a step forward. But now that I have delved deeper into Ron DeSantis' anti-woke campaign, I just am like, what? Who with any sense of wanting to uphold the values of democracy would ban a book featuring Rosa Parks, for example? You don't want to talk to people about Rosa Parks, about the real origins of the word woke? I am just, I'm really, really hoping that people who have been swayed by the far right propaganda, I hope that they wake up, and I hope that they see that they're not only hurting others, they're hurting themselves. It's just like in that red pill definition. There is not a coincidence that it says, you join me in Wonderland and we go down the rabbit hole. You know, it's just like I said, some people really need to get off the internet because they can't use it responsibly. They can't use it with a level of emotional intelligence. You've just driven yourself down a rabbit hole, you know, and from what I see online, these people who kind of become obsessive with these manosphere cultish type things, they get alienated from their families, their spouses. A lot of these people end up being divorced if they are married because people are just like confused about what's going on. I'm seeing more and more Gen Z people sort of alienating themselves from some of their parents because their parents have gone down these rabbit holes. I see grandparents on Reddit and YouTube and Instagram talking crazy stuff. It's like, you should know better than this. You're too old for this. You should have a certain level of maturity and compassion. And I mean, it's like political correctness does not even matter anymore. It is absolutely flabbergasting to me. Anyway, so Antifa. So Urban Dictionary says Antifa is an abbreviation for anti-fascist. They were a lot bigger in the 20th century for obvious reasons, aka Hitler, resisting fascism, which was on the rise in those times. As fascism and heavy nationalism rolls over the hills again, Antifa groups have been rising up and demonstrating again, particularly in the latter half of the 21st century. These people are of all ages, but most of them are those worst affected by the economic conditions set forth by late-stage capitalism, aka millennials. I told you guys I'm writing a book about millennials finding love, and a lot of the stuff I talk about in my book. I want to stand in solidarity with millennials on some things, you know, and the Antifa movement, as long as it is peaceful protest, I don't see any problem with it, because fascism at its core is anti-American. Fascism at its core is anti-democracy, and it should be shunned away from society. But, you know, the Antifa crowd, again, it is not one set organization. So some people go up in there and they are some strong-willed individuals. And while I can't say I agree with some of the more violent acts from Antifa or self-proclaimed Antifa groups, I can respect the no fuck given. I can respect the fact that they are like, we are going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that these figures like Trump, like Ron DeSantis, don't ruin American democracy. So it says previously low-profile anti-fascist groups had existed in the U.S. since at least 1988 in the form of the Anti-Racist Alliance. And so Antifa groups really are anti-racist, anti-homophobia, anti-sexism, and this is a platform that Donald Trump is using to incite hate amongst his most devout base followers, his cultists, in other words. People who don't want racism, sexism, xenophobia, transphobia, homophobia. These are the people that people like Donald Trump are driving against American democracy and American people. The people who don't want racism, sexism, xenophobia, and homophobia. So, anti-fascist activities have included violent disruptions and demonstrations. Again, I don't necessarily agree with that. Including burning rubbish bins, breaking store windows, and most importantly, punching alt-rightists and KKK members. Ooh! As you might have read from other definitions, conservatives don't like the Antifa because they threaten to tip the balance over. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going. We still have QAnon and we still have the deep state. So, QAnon. I hear Donald Trump talk about this all the time, and I see Donald Trump also as one of those people who really, really needs to get off of social media. You know, just before Aaron Carter died, who, you know, Aaron Carter, I don't think that he was a perfect person, but I do think he was a victim. And I think that in some ways he deserved better than what he got. He was really going down the rabbit hole every day. I mean, he was on IG Live every day, on YouTube Live often. And there's this one point where he's like holding his baby, and his ex-fiance Melanie, who was his fiance at the time, he's just going on rants, and he is defensive, and I think in a valid way he's defensive, because people in the comments are being really disgusting and just not very kind towards him. And he's holding the baby, and she's like, "Can you please give me the baby back?" He won't give the baby back. And he's just going on rants. And she just screams in the background, "Please get off the internet." That's what I want to scream to Donald Trump and his cultists. Please get off the internet. It is not helping you for your better good. Just, if you can't come with a level of bipartisanship, of compassion, of level-headedness, of an openness to listen to perspectives outside of your own, while still holding your values at core and not disrespecting people, of not driving up anxiety, fear, aggression around your conspiracy theories, being sensitive that other people might not have those same theories as you, you need to get off the internet. You need to just slow down. So anyway, QAnon. QAnon began as a prank by 4chan members with the goal of convincing gullible people to unwittingly promote the fictional organization Queers Anonymous. It has since been adopted and perpetuated by many around the world. That's one definition. I don't think that really is... That's the other thing. So many of these conspiracy theories, it's exactly what they are, conspiracy theories. So there's no one set definition for them. There's no really valid empirical proof that they even exist. Different people have different interpretations of what it is. When it comes to something like that, get off the internet. You know, like you are making people uncomfortable, and you're causing unnecessary societal anxiety. You know, if you want to commit yourself to something that really is a truth-seeking experience, a truth-exposing experience for people, support anti-racist movements, support anti-sexist movements, support environmental movements, support humanitarian movements. Stop spouting off about conspiracy theories, because you know what? If these conspiracy theories really rang true, what does you spouting off on social media do about it? Like, please let me know what actionable results come from supporting political leaders that use that as their platforms, and you spouting off about it on the internet. I'm really, really lost. How does this propel democracy forward? Well, I mean, I guess that right there answers it, because many of these people don't want democracy. They want fascism. And if fascism came, I think that if true fascism came to the US and the UK and that was adopted the way these people seemingly want it to be, I think that they would be extremely miserable, and much like Brexit supporters, they would probably regret their decisions. So the second definition says, QAnon, what seems to be an internet-based cult of crackpots who apparently believe that Trump is God and that he's fighting the cabal or the deep state or some BS like that. From the looks of it, they also espouse the religious belief that he's fighting a blatantly non-existent satanic pedophile ring made of people who don't agree with him. Donald Trump, who was closely linked to a lot of pedophiles. Donald Trump, who has been on trial for paying hush money to a porn star and who has also been accused of sexual abuse and rape. This guy is rallying to shut down a pedophile ring. Let me just Okay, made a pedophile ring made of people who don't agree with him, as opposed to just admitting he's not that great of a person. Seems to have been started by people going by Q, who's claiming to be an insider for the government or maybe a massive troll. These a-holes take their beliefs seriously enough to flat out attack people or even try to commit murder in broad daylight. And they claim they're fighting for some fake utopia. Yeah, humanity's digging its own grave for sure. That it is, but America is full of people who will not be silenced, who will not let democracy just swindle and swirl down the toilet drain. And so that will not happen. Humanity's grave will not be dug because there are many people willing. You know what? Justin Pearson, I think his name is, the two expelled lawmakers from Tennessee. You know, that right there, just if you haven't, you know, and you are, you know, left or center left, or you're seeing what's happening with the far right and you are just flabbergasted and you want to advocate for tolerance, for women's rights, for a more respectful relationship between the right and the left, go ahead and check out those videos about the two lawmakers that were expelled from the Tennessee General Assembly, because it's like they are literally channeling Martin Luther King, and it is so beautiful to see. And of course, they got expelled. That hasn't happened in Tennessee, where two lawmakers have gotten expelled since the 1800s, and then it was for criminal behavior. These people had peaceful protests alongside children. I mean, young people. I remember my first protest as a teenager, and I mean, it just, as an advocate myself, as a child advocate, seeing these Gen Z kids, they are the future. You know, millennials, we're gonna be helpful towards them, but there are some millennials who have been taken by this divisive far right movement as well. But these lawmakers stood alongside young people, saying the gun laws in Tennessee have to change, and they got expelled for holding a peaceful protest and got called insurrectionist. And the people at January 6th, the Republicans, the far right conservatives, call them martyrs, okay? Upholders of truth, soldiers of the movement to bring down the satanic cult or whatever it is. But these people who had a peaceful protest with young people, children in America who are affected the most by these school shootings, got expelled. So, the deep state. That's the last one. Let's talk about the deep state, and then I will give you my final thoughts, my lovely, lovely people. So, deep state. The deep state. An unseen body of people within a country, especially U.S., who collectively have powerful influence on government and policy. I find it really ironic that Donald Trump is always spouting off about the deep state when he is, in fact, a representation of the deep state, a representation of angry, hyperventilating, aggressive, sexist, racist, xenophobic, climate change denial, white privilege that is swaying people's mentalities. Like, he hasn't been in the White House in 3 years, almost 3 years, and he still has this much power over people. Rich CEOs, America is facing a potential depression, a potential recession. And conservatives, and Republicans want to diminish role of government, and that's okay. That right there, foundationally, is okay. But isn't it a little bit hypocritical when you support these divisive political figures who are that way because they have very rich donors who want to protect their lifestyle of not paying the same percentage of taxes as normal people, and as a result, them not paying taxes hurts the U.S. economy. So instead of blaming Mexicans, instead of blaming women for taking all of white men's jobs that they generally had before, why don't you blame the rich CEOs who aren't paying their taxes? To me, that's the real deep state. I mean, it's just what they said about the red pill. These people are in a wonderland. Get off the internet. Donald, get off the internet. Cultist, get off the internet. Okay, okay, I love the fact that they give different definitions. This one's good. So, latest term in continuing series of fictional terms used by individuals addicted to acting like victims who are some of the most ignorant or problematic people in America, mostly on the far right, who are better and more intelligently known as the deep dumb. Again, I don't always support the way they say it, but I get it. I get where they're coming from. This is a section of America who feel they have been ignorance. They have been ignorant, and rightly so. Okay, I think that was a bit of a typo, but we'll keep going. Because they have so many ridiculous beliefs that are frequently damaging even to themselves. One can tell politicians who have no other claim to current notoriety than to make stupid shite up and riling up those who are even dumber than they are and are currently being mouthed by the great goofball Donald Trump in the White House. Okay, so this is from 2017. And all his political fluffers and minions. Also see Fox News, InfoWars, Drudge Report, Sean Hannity, especially Newt Gingrich, and etc. And then it gives a example in context of deep state. We have a lot of conservative tinfoil hat patients here in Western State Mental Hospital who are long-term residents of a deep state of delusion, who believe in a deep state in our government, that being anyone in government who disagrees with recent and sad political pathetics like President Trump. And again, that definition came from 2017. My final thoughts. Again, I think that some people are not responsible. And these include people who are parents and grandparents as well. Donald Trump is a grandparent acting like this. Some people aren't using the internet responsibly. They aren't using it with a level of emotional intelligence or authority over one's faculties, authorities over one's emotions. It is really coming from a place of anxiety and fear. I feel like the people who are buying into these conspiracy theories, the energy would be better placed and really actually advocating for policies that are balanced between left and right. And that's pretty much what I believe. Some people just need to get off the internet, please. If you can't handle it responsibly, just get off the internet. But you know what? I don't think people are going to do that for themselves. And I think that some sort of reform is going to happen with the internet. The Republicans are trying to ban TikTok. And I don't necessarily think that is the answer. But I think that we need to take a look at algorithms. We need to take a look at behavior and see in what ways social media, the algorithms can be affected to be less nasty and hateful. I think that essentially people have shown that they are not necessarily capable of self-governance, that they aren't capable of governing themselves when it comes to political correctness, when it comes to really just a sense of compassion and humanity. You know, a lot of this I just see as people who are jaded and mean, and you know that saying that misery loves company. Hurt people hurt people. These people are hurt by economic choices that have economic circumstances that have literally been put in the place of the people that they are following. And I think that some people are waking up to that. You know, I have been looking at Fox News of all things, and I really don't like going to look over at the opposition, but at this moment in time, with Donald Trump's indictment and everything, I feel like I need to. And you can even see some conservative figures denouncing this type of conspiracy theory obsessed behavior. Can you imagine if some of our most beloved, cherished U.S. presidents had spouted off about stuff like this? Could you imagine Barack Obama spouting off about stuff about like this? Or Jimmy Carter? Or Teddy Roosevelt? Or John F. Kennedy? Could you see these people spouting off about stuff like this? No, you could not. So I am really, really curious to know what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments. And if you have not already, again, please go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.